there were other ways, but there's not. If there were,
in our quest to bring to the table issue-based conversation around nationhood and development, we have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we continue to build the narrative about public service and accountability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance to make their political decisions, constant demand for quality leadership from those they voted into office.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving. Tinubu should please do something.
It's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join 𝐴괜ᴜmɪ-Akinnyode as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and leadership every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial. Mainland 98.3 FM will welcome you next as we discuss the situations.
Oga Police, no worry, I see you. You know you can do the right thing, right? You know you can do without that bribe. You know you don't even have to harass that young man because he is properly dressed. And you think he's a Yahoo boy? You don't even have to assault that citizen whom you have sworn an oath to protect. Yes, we understand that the pay is not good enough to take you home, that you are still wearing a uniform that you bought with your own money 5 years ago. It's no news that the government has not done enough by you. We feel your pain and we wish things could be different as we continue to call on government to wake up to their responsibilities. We want the police to be our friends, just as it is boldly stated across the various police stations nationwide. And from mainland 98.3 FM, we implore you to do better. We love you and we support you always.
Very good evening to you. Welcome to the Situation Room, live on mainland 98.3 FM. It's the Tuesday edition. Today's date is 23rd of July 2024. Well, we're gradually moving towards the end of the month, and that means I'm also counting down to my special day. I've always told people I'm not really so big on birthdays, but I come from a family where no matter how flat things are on your birthday, you would always know that there's love from home. And when I see all of those greetings, some people don't even talk to you. Probably the last time you spoke was last year, your last birthday. They would certainly reach out on those days. So it's always really different for me, the following day, and you just wake up, you have loads of messages to respond to, a lot of missed calls that you couldn't pick because of so many other things, and then you probably just wait for the next calendar year before you get such attention. Hey, it's good. A whole lot of people have stuff that they're dealing with, but we keep going, we keep moving. Yesterday on the show was an amazing time on radio, and big shout out to everyone that reached out. I got loads of messages after the show. I couldn't just read. I'm not sure I took up to 20% of the messages we got yesterday. A whole lot. Comrade Steve Aluko was with me on the show yesterday from 4 to 5:30. Comrade Steve Aluko is the executive director of civil society organizations in Nigeria. You represented the CSOs and the CLOs at the last national conference in Abuja. And yesterday, we looked at the proposed nationwide protest on the 1st of August, to be or not to be. And my guest yesterday took us through that lane of, how it all started. And he made some really profound statement yesterday. In fact, same that I could cause some indictment. But hey, I will have to just move over that as quick as possible. Nigerians are asking a lot of fundamental questions. Is this the kind of democracy that the people here right now really fought for? The people that lost their lives, the people that had to pay the ultimate price, the people that are still living with the scar of, the military era. A lot of them went into exile. Some of them were taken away from their families for years. Some were jailed, never released, some disappeared, never to be found. Excuse me. But now we have the democracy. The question is this: are we using it well? Beyond the 25 years or 26 years of unbroken democracy, what else do we have? What else are we holding on to? What else are we putting down as, a proper definition of the government of the people, by the people, and for the people? That's supposed to be the simplest form of definition of democracy. In a single statement, the people was mentioned 3 times. That means it's supposed to be the more of the people, a government of the majority, a government where the people's opinion would count, a government where their leaders would have to listen to the people, a government where the people would have to tell the leaders what they want the leaders to do, and not the leaders telling the people what they want to do. I find the issue of campaign what do they call it? I don't want to call it propaganda right now. Let me just say campaign promises, manifestos, whatever English we choose to call it. I find it really funny if the politicians would mount the podium and tell, I'm going to build road, I'm going to fix electricity, I'm going to unbundle the complications in NNPC, I'm going to do this, I'm supposed to tell you what you will do for me, because I'm the one that is sending you there. You're being paid with my tax. So it has such a big irony that the politicians will come tell the people what they want to do. The people should be talking to the politicians what they want. And that is exactly why we're where we are today. We have individuals that are not exactly interested in fixing the challenges of this country. The last 1 month, it's been about the minimum wage. It's been about local government autonomy. It's been about security challenges. Over the weekend, one of the things that dominated the conversation around the public space was the Dangote refinery situation, to be or not to be. Yesterday, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Tᴜᴜsᴜ, actually met with the CEO of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, and also the General Manager of NNPC Limited. All of them had a meeting yesterday. I'm sure it's in a bid to fix all of these issues, the back and forth that have been going on in the last 2 weeks. But let's be hopeful. But again, we ask ourselves these questions. If we are always celebrating, Dangote refinery coming upstream, and when exactly would the Port Harcourt refinery also come upstream? When would the Kaduna refinery also come upstream? When would the Warri refinery also come upstream? We have a country. We were importing refined products when we didn't have a proper refinery. We're taking out our crude, we're bringing in refined products. Now we have a refinery, and even though it's a privately owned refinery, but now we're still importing crude to service a local refinery. There's just so much, and I've always said it. One of the bigger problems we have in this country is the fact that the people saddled with the responsibility of fixing this country are benefiting from the mess in the country. So it's about your conscience. When you wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, if I fix this country, if I block all the leakages in this country that is giving me access to millions of dollars illegally, what will I gain at the end of the day? That's exactly the problem. The people that are saddled the responsibility of fixing this country are benefiting from this mess. So it's going to be tough for us to have them genuinely or intentionally want to fix this country. And that's one of the problems that we refuse to address. The question is this: if you want us to fix the constitution, if you want us to dump the constitution we have at the moment that was handed over to us by the military and work on our own constitution, who are the people that will make these moves? The people that are benefiting from the the lacuna in the constitution, that are the ones that are supposed to give us a different constitution. So if a governor that won an election on the platform of one political party and then decided to leave that party and go to another party, ordinarily the party owns the vote, but the judgment says otherwise. We saw that in the case of the former Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, when he left the PDP for the APC. The court says no, he can hold on to his mandate. But the House of Assembly members that followed the governor from the PDP to the APC, they lost their own seat. How do you explain that? How do you explain the case in Plateau State at the moment that throughout almost about 26 members of the State House of Assembly that belong to the PDP, but the same process that brought those people, that the court invalidated their vote, the same process brought the governor, and the Supreme Court upheld his own election. There are quite a lot of lacuna in the constitution, so the people that are supposed to block those lacunas are benefiting from those lacunas. So how do you expect them to block it? Someone deliberately set up a ministry just to fill a part of the country for whatever reason, and then you expect that ministry to function in the capacity it is expected to function. How do you explain that? How do you explain a state where in the last 1 year, some governors have gotten more than 50% of what they used to get since the removal of subsidy? But now, because of a renewed hardship, perhaps an offshoot of the renewed hope mandate, Nigerians are planning a nationwide protest on the 1st of August. And I will tell you for a fact, based on what my guest said yesterday, this protest could have grave consequences. On the 8th of October 2020, the NSAS protest started at the Lekki toll gate, and before we could say Jack Robinson, it has snowballed into chaos, destruction of lives and properties, vandalization, looting, stealing, killing, left and right. And at the end of the day, people lost their lives, people lost their businesses, people lost their source of livelihood. People have not recovered till today. Should the government push the people to the point where they want to have another protest again? What would be the consequences of this protest? The Inspector General of Police is talking tough. He's saying that the people should not expect what happened in Kenya to happen in the country. The Commissioner of Police in FCT is saying no protest would hold in the FCT. It's a whole lot of problem. Busayo Morakinyo joins me on the show today via phone. He was one of the directors at Code. If you know Code, you know Hamzat Lawal. Yes. He's going to be joining me in the next 5 minutes. He's just texted now that he's going to join me by 4:20. We look into this conversation around accountability in public office. The question is this: if you don't have billions being stolen by people that literally begged for the citizens to vote for them, the citizens will not ask these questions that is being asked. I saw the 10-point agenda that one of the leaders of the proposed nationwide protest is putting on board. By the way, on Friday, Comrade Sᴏᴄɪᴏ will be live on the show from 4 to 5:30 p.m. We're going to discuss the proposed nationwide protest, to be or not to be. So it's going to be an engaging conversation on Friday. Don't miss that. So we ask ourselves these questions. Over the weekend, I needed to buy petrol because of the epileptic power supply that I have in my area. And I've always said it. One of the biggest irony that I've seen in this democracy is the classism that was introduced into electricity in this country. So some people are on band A because we feel like, oh, the people in this area can afford to pay for this. There are a lot of people in some areas that are not even on any band, but they can afford to pay for band A. But because we feel like our democracy, in every classless society, there has to be a class. According to Karl Marx, we decided to create the band A, band B, band C, and I'm sure some people are on band W right now because they don't get to see electricity. So over the weekend, I wanted to get fuel. And I got to the fuel station and I saw 730 naira per liter. That means if I want to get 10 liters, that is 7,300 for 10 liters. In a country that's supposed to be the 6th largest oil producer in the world according to the OPEC index. In a country that is blessed so much with resources that we cannot even tap into them. In fact, we've not even scratched the surface of some of the resources, natural resources that we have. In a country that have had almost 26 years of unbroken democracy, and we don't have a single government-owned functional refinery. In a country where we said we're removing subsidy, but backdoor we're still paying subsidy. So the people are buying fuel for 700, 650, 730. And how do you explain this? By the way, the new national minimum wage bill was passed the first, second, and third reading on the floor of the Senate today. Pretty fast, you may want to say. Everything happened really, really fast, and in a couple of minutes it was done and it was dusted. Yes, interesting times. The national minimum wage bill scaled the first, second, and third reading moment after it was transmitted to the Senate by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Senate, in a unanimous vote after a clause-by-clause consideration in the Committee of the Whole, has passed the new national minimum wage today, the 23rd day of July 2024. So it is 70,000 naira minimum wage. And when the president of NLC, Comrade Joe Ajero, was addressing the people, he talked about the fact that the president promised that there would be periodic review of the minimum wage. The next would come in 3 years' time. 3 years' time is a build-up to the next general election. You always know that in the midst of politics, there will always be politics. I'm trying to link up with Bᴜsᴜyɪ, and then we'll get the conversation going. You're live on Mainland 98.3 FM. And this is the Situation Room. I will get to do this every Mondays to Fridays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. And this is not the only program that offers the platform to speak to the people and to express your thought and share your fears. We always begin from Sunday on Political Roundtable. Sᴏᴜ and his league of extraordinary journalists and analysts always come together to break into details, into every tiny details, government policies that seems complicated to you. Don't miss that. Sunday 6 to 8 p.m. on Political Roundtable. I would always bring you the Situation Room from 4 to 5:30 p.m. every Mondays to Fridays, and on Wednesday, tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m. it's midweek politics. Sᴏᴜ, Victor Achibong, and myself would always come around to also, open conversations more, and let's see all of that would always work out. Today on the show, like I said, I'm trying to link up with my guest. We're going to be discussing public trust, accountability, and good governance. Straight to the point. So the question is this: will the people be taken to the street or planning to take to the street if there were good governance? If the presidency of the politicians are saying people should make sacrifices, we should fasten our belt or tighten our belts, whichever way you want to express it. But the people on the other side, probably because they don't wear belts, more of them in babarigas and kaftans, so probably they don't know what it means to tighten your belts, because it has to be leadership by example. If you're telling me to make sacrifices and buy a tuber of yam for 6,000 that cannot even sustain a family of 4, and buy a derica of rice for 1,006 that cannot sustain a family of 4, and buy a bag of foreign rice for 83,000 and the minimum wage is 70,000, $43, in case you don't know. So your minimum wage cannot even buy you a bag of rice in a country where we have surplus, in a country where we have no reason whatsoever to be in this precarious situation, in a country where you can almost see pain and tears and sorrow and suffering in the faces of the people. But the government is saying we should make sacrifices. But the question is this: are they making that sacrifice for themselves? Yes, maybe for their relatives, for their families. My guest is linked up and he's going to join us in the next couple of seconds. Good to have you. I don't know, you're just a man of many parts. I call you a man of numbers, because sometimes when I listen to you speak and I get to hear how you put off your numbers, and I'm always wondering, how do you guys do this? Bᴜsᴜyɪ, good to have you join us in the Situation Room, and thank you very much for squeezing your time to be with us today.
Okay, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be with you, man.
So thank you very much. First off, your birthday was a few days ago. Happy birthday in arrears to you, my friend.
Thanks, bro. Happy birthday in advance to you.
Exactly. We share quite a lot of things in common.
I know, right?
So let's get straight up into the conversation. One of the things that upholds every democracy in the world is accountability. Accountability to the people. Accountability to the people you walk through their doors, you rang their bells, spoke to them on radio, on TV, on platforms, that you will be responsible for their welfare if they give you their mandate. And they did. Unfortunately, the gulf of class between the governed and the government is getting wider by the day, and is building a lot of public distrust. There's a proposed nationwide protest on the 1st of August, And Mr. Miracle, let's start from there. Where did we get it wrong? You've been, you were part of an organization that follows the money, follows monies that have been released from budget for proposals. And sometimes I look at your report and I laugh. How did we get to this point where the gap between the government and the governed feels endless? It's getting wider by the day. Talk to us about that. Let's start from here.
So I think it's always been this way, right? You definitely realize that before 1999, where we had the military regime, unfortunately, the current people who have in government today are people who claim to have fought the military, right? And so I usually say that there was a carryover, of the military aggression, in the hearts of the generation who experienced that level of brutalization and abuse of human rights and governance by the guys in the military. But from 1999 to this very moment, we've enjoyed an unbroken democracy, as we can call it. And so one would expect that, democracy would give people the opportunity to become more closer to government, or to have the government become more closer to the people, because it's a representative democracy of some sort. And in fact, the level of democracy is such that we have the executive, we have the judiciary, even if we don't have a say on who gets, on the judiciary per se. But we also have the folks who go to parliament, and these people get in by our vote. So it's spot on. They come to us and say, I want to represent you, I want to lead you, I want to be your governor, I want to be your president. But you see, from 1999, up until the last elections we had in Nigeria last year, it's the same story. Make so many promises and fulfill less. But unfortunately, it's so disheartening that historically, this should have been the best times of democracy. And I dare say, because the current president of Nigeria today, whether we like it or not, rose to prominence on the wings of him being a pro-democracy activist. These were the people who were in NADECO, created interesting movements, did all of this beautiful stuff. It felt as if, they had plans, but, if your so-called heroes live so long, you may begin to detest them. And that's what Nigeria is experiencing, currently. And you can also see that there's been so much difference in this government and probably what the military felt like, in the sense that we had a government before the last election. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria never attended any public debate, right? And so when you say the government made promises, I'm beginning to ask myself, who did they make the promises to? The manifesto? Nah, what does it do with the manifesto? The manifesto is just a piece of paper, If we were to go by the progressive, quote-unquote, manifesto of the current ruling party, you probably would have felt that Nigeria would have, been in a better place, at the moment. But I mean, it is what it is. And it's a sad reality. Very, very shameful one at that.
Thank you for setting the conversation up. Now let's talk about the office of the citizen. The office of the citizen is supposed to be the most important office in any democracy. Before you join the conversation, I was talking about the simplest form of democracy defined anywhere. It is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That means in this single statement, the people were mentioned 3 times. That means more than the office of Mr. President, the office of the citizen should stand up higher than anybody else. But how did we get to the point where we have individuals now that are more powerful than institutions? I know you've done a lot of work in respect to following projects, funds that have been released for projects, the level of completion, the level of the quality of the job and all of that. And I'm sure somewhere in your mind you probably ask yourself that, who drove us to this point where people cannot be accountable with public funds, people cannot be trusted with public offices? How bad, or how do I put it? I'm trying to look for a very civil word. How bad has the office of the citizen been trampled upon in this our own democracy?
I feel you so much, and I don't really envy you. I don't envy the job you do on radio every day, because some of us, we could decide to neglect these conversations sometimes. But for you, it's a totally different ballgame entirely. You have to be on radio,
unfortunately,
which are depressing, on its own. But let me be frank with you. It has always been, but you see, there is a change, and I love a little bit of history. In October 2020, we had citizens come on the street. These citizens, like I described on your show, sometime last year or 2 years ago, I said these citizens, were not the normal people you would see on a protest. You would never see them on a protest. But in October they came out. But guess what happened after that protest that went south, which was infiltrated by the government, by the way. We cannot run away from that fact. We started to see how government institutions and government apparatus started gaslighting these citizens, right? And you call them names. In fact, today, the people who protested in 2012, and I'm talking about the government in power currently, are the ones giving, citizens action. They are calling it an insurgency or insurrection. They call it terrorism. They link it with IPOB. Give the dog a bad name so that you can kill it. It's what these people are. Gaslighting citizens who are waking up to their responsibilities to hold their government to account. Right? So when you listen to all of these things, you ask yourself, why are citizens leaving the country in droves, right? Why are more citizens just wanting to, live and just survive without the help of government? Because they're already doing it. Okay, you probably provide your own electricity.
I'm my own local government chairman.
Yeah, your own local government chairman.
Exactly.
You probably create the road to make the road to your house, clean, or you do all of these things just as a citizen, so that some people will not gaslight you tomorrow, when you probably go out for a protest and they call you names that you are not, just because you want to be an active citizen. Because for you to be an active citizen, you must hold your government to account. And whether we like it or not, public criticism is part of the way active citizens will hold their government to account. Media advocacy is also a way. We've seen what this government has tried to do, gagging the media. We've seen a whole lot of media people that have been arrested by this government, who is supposed to be, the people who promote democracy, because this is what they claim they fought for, right? You protest actions are a part of democracy. It's a part of citizens' action, right? And whether we like it or not, right, you cannot beat a child and you don't expect the child to cry. But this is the beautiful part. Since to return to democracy in 1999 to today that we are speaking, it's been 23 years plus some few months, right? What has happened is that the children who were born pre-1999, and I'm talking about from 97, down to this time, about 25 years of age now. So they are adults, full-blown adults. This generation never experienced military rule. They never experienced the trauma of the military rule. And that's why you are seeing them coming out in groups to ask questions. Number two, the globalization. The fact that I can be able to sit in Nigeria and I'm able to know what is happening globally. I can be able to connect what is happening in Kenya. I can be able to connect to what is happening in Uganda on the streets. yesterday and today, I can be able to connect my reality in Nigeria probably with the reality of someone in the United States of America and Canada. It also spurs more young people to say, no, this is not right. Something needs to be done, right? And so because of this space of globalization and information, a whole lot of these young people are asking questions. And those are the young people you will see on the street. You may not see a Professor WG on the street again or Tunde Bakare as it was in 2012. You know, you will see even much more younger people than the people who came out in 2020 because they understand that their future is dependent on the decisions those people in government are making. Because one policy can destroy the life you've been building for donkey amount of years. Just one policy would send you back to your village and you will not be able to do anything about it. You know, so those are the kind of people who are going to see come out, you know, to protest. And it's within their rights to protest.
Now let's talk about the proposed nationwide protest. There's been a lot of demands, return to the old petrol price, remove these 250,000 for minimum wage, this and that. But the government is also building some kind of resistance. Yesterday, the executive director of the CSOs and the CLOs in Nigeria was on the show, Comrade Steve Aluko, and he talked about the fact that how the protest, if it eventually happens, would unfold would be determined by the response of the government, the response of the security agencies, the response of the observers, the response of the authorities. Remember how the NSAS protest on the 8th of October 2020 started? Just basic placard at the Lekki toll gates, and then before we knew what was happening, it has snowballed into something else. But you made mention of the fact that during the Occupy Naija protest of 2012, we had the likes of Tunde Bakare, the current president. We had the likes of the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We had the likes of Wole Soyinka. We had the likes of Chief Olusegun. But these were individuals that held the government of Goodluck Jonathan neck down, that he should return the subsidy that he removed. Why are these people now raising conversation? Why is the Inspector General of Police saying people should not expect what happened in Kenya to happen? Why is the Commissioner for Police in FCT saying protests must not be held in the state? Why is this government gagging the voice of the people and trying to pull out whatever it is could happen on the 1st of August? Why is this government scared of discerning voices, Busayo?
It's simple. Give a dog a bad name for you to hang it. That's what they're trying to do. You know, this is the tactic, you know, in the old rule book. You know, but you see, the moment you push the citizens to the wall, you know, the citizens will push back. And in them pushing back, you probably, you know, unfortunately, one of the things that happened from 2020 is the fact that a whole lot of young Nigerians did not try to balance the narrative from the government, you know, after the NSAS protest. The unfortunate incidents that happened after it. The first thing that happened is the military lied that they were not at the toll gate, right? They military lied that they didn't shoot at anybody at the toll gate, you know. But all of these things were refuted, you know, because what happened, we watched it on Instagram Live, right? For some few days after that, I asked myself if I was becoming delusional because I probably thought I was losing my mind, you know. And the government came and said Instagram Live videos were doctored, you know, which was an embarrassing situation. Now they are playing the same kind of rules. I mean, when you go to the government Twitter handles, you would hear the narratives, and it's really embarrassing, you know, for these same people that had the free will to protest in 2012, you know, as much as carrying the casket, you know, with the name of the then president on it, you know, did a whole lot of things, and nobody's right of protest was gone. You understand? And the same fuel subsidy they protested against is what the current president came in and said subsidy is gone. By the way, what Nigeria is still paying subsidy.
Yes.
If not, we'll be paying 1,500 at the fuel pump. Now, because of the sorry nature of this, of how these people seem to perceive power or how they handle power, it's always I don't know how they feel, when it feels like they can be able to gag the public, but if protest is a right in a democracy, you cannot stop people from protesting. You don't have that right whatsoever. In fact, the Supreme Court has made it expressly clear that you do not need to take any permission from anybody to protest. It is your unalienable civic right, to protest, right? While personally, I do not feel like protest is, the answer to every question. I think that when people want to vent, you must, as a government, ensure that their rights are protected as humans, their rights are protected as citizens, and you give them police support. Okay, I was in Abuja in October 2020, and I can tell you for a matter of fact, the protest was orderly coordinated until we started seeing thugs and hoodlums jump out of government, of police trucks, government vehicles, trying to disrupt the protest. We saw all of things, right? If anything happened in Lagos post October 20th, of 2020, it was because of the actions of government. And we must not be scared to say this truth to whoever cares to hear or whoever wants to be a revisionist of history. These things happened right in front of our eyes, right? So whether we like it or not, my brother, nobody can stop people from protesting. And I think it's just counterproductive. You cannot intimidate people. There's a limit to where you can do all of these things you want to do. What I expect governments to be doing is to begin to look at the needs, these protesters are beginning to put forward. And it's wisdom that these protesters are beginning to say, these are our protesting points, end bad governance. You cannot, even my grandfather, who is 98 years old, knows that things are bad. You cannot lie your way out of this reality, my brother. So, in a nutshell, right? Citizens must be allowed to protest, right? Protests must go peacefully. The police, the security agencies must provide adequate security. We don't want to see thugs come out of government vehicles with cutlasses, with machetes, the kind of memories we have from ENSA. And the truth of the matter is, the more you keep suppressing the citizens' will to become active citizens, you are postponing the evil days, right? And I'm not a doctor, but I know that if you have a wound on your leg and you refuse to treat it, your leg will begin to decay. And the moment the wound goes so deep, you may have to amputate that leg.
Now, let me take you back to what a statement you made, that sometimes you feel protest may not be the solution to some of these problems. That's what I want to ask you. A lot of people that started the EndSARS protest of 2020 probably don't think it will go that bad, to the point where businesses were looted, people were killed, our government facilities were destroyed, the BRT bus at Ojota was burnt down, the DNA center in Marina was stopped. I mean, you look at what happened to the mall in Sᴏᴜᴜ, it was ransacked. A lot of people lost their businesses, lost their investment. That was a protest against police brutality. Bring it down to what is being proposed on the 1st of August. They said it is end bad governance in Nigeria. Let me ask you, Mr. Mораkiyo, do you think we have healed from the scar of EndSARS protest, or do you think Nigerians can handle whatever comes out of the protest if it eventually happens on the 1st of August?
But nobody just wakes up to decide to go protest, and that's a basic truth, right? The reason why people are saying, in fact, I do not even think. I think when you even begin to plan for a protest, you're making a fatal error. How this is probably going to, seem like it's going to be on the side of on the side of caution because everybody's beginning to prepare for whatever may happen, right? Which by God's grace, we hope nothing goes south. We hope, the protest is not hijacked by, disruptive elements. You people come out to protest when they feel in a certain kind of way. And that is what active citizenry does. We are saying that we do not have enough active citizens. Some of them are active. We are complaining that, people are getting active. You cannot eat your cake and have it. The more citizens understand, we are not in China, for God's sake. We are not in North Korea, where we do not have access to information. We know that the country can be better, but there are some few elements. Unfortunately, less than 100,000 people leading over 200 million people, and they are messing things up, which is what it is, by the way, right? You cannot put a lead on them. That's on one part. The second part, if we actually learn from what happened in the last time, and the young people who went out to protest were not gaslighted, right? We could have probably picked a lesson or two to understand that when young people say enough, they actually mean enough should be enough. Mind you, we still have police brutality happening on a massive scale today. It has not changed. Nothing really has changed. We probably may not have SARS as an institution again, but people are still brutalized today, in the federal, across the entire country. So it means that we hardly learn as a country. Unfortunately, what happened post, the military invasion, at the Lekki toll gate happened, it was a direct reaction to the actions of government at every level on how the protests and the protesters were handled. In 2020, I made a distinctive difference between the young people who protested and the young people who went about destroying government properties, and, doing a whole lot of craziness, everywhere. There was a clear difference of where if you followed scientifically, I must say, the protests that happened, you would not believe that Nigerian young people could be that coordinated. Though distracted because of the amount of shenanigans, which comes with young people. Young people are very expressive. So you have the DJs, you have the celebrities. But for every time I went out on the protest in Abuja, I saw young people cleaning up after themselves, picking the trash that was dropped on the ground. Mind you, the police started hitting people with tear gas in Abuja long before the protest escalated. So see, quite sincerely, right? Whether we like it or not, the moment the stakeholders, and when I talk about the stakeholders, I'm talking about the young people on the street, I'm talking about the government. When the government brings its firepower, you may not be able to control how people will react to that. And that's why we are saying that the police must be able to realize that the generation that we have now are not the generation, of the times past, who may be able to probably say, this thing is becoming so dangerous. Let's
walk away.
This generation is going to televise everything that has happened. And mind you, people have learned from the last time when they were gaslighted, when the government said there was no military person at the Lekki toll gate. People are screaming is way better than it was. This is 4 years after. A whole lot of people are going to be screaming this incident, and you would definitely see the kind of reaction. And mind you, it is not just the young people that are suffering now. For ENSA, it was police harassing young people. The protest that we are probably going to see on the 1st of August is a cost of living crisis that affects my 89-year-old, my 98-year-old grandfather, who is probably at the final bus terminal to depart from the earth. And I believe if he has the strength, he's definitely going to also come out to protest. He will say a big power, and it's such a shame that, someone as old as my grandfather, probably didn't, imagine Nigeria was still going to be like this when it's about exiting life.
Thank you very much. In case you're just tuning in, I must admit that you've missed a little of the conversation today. But I've been speaking with Sᴏᴄɪᴏ-Pᴏʟɪᴛ. He's an innovative development, governance, and social accountability profession. He does the conversation of numbers, and most especially when it comes to accountability in public space. He asks the right questions. He keeps talking about scientific. That's exactly what he does. And we decided to look at the conversation on building trust, accountability, and good governance in Nigeria's socio-political space. Ahead of the proposed nationwide protest on the 1st of August, the question we've been asking is to be or not to be. And like I said, on Friday, the convener of I'm trying to, because he will tell you that, oh, he's not just a convener now, he's a politician. I'm talking about Tᴜsᴛ now. He was the presidential candidate for the African Action Congress in the last election. He's going to be on the show on Friday. And he's one of the leaders of a faction of the group organizing the proposed protest. He also dropped their demands, I think about 14 items on that list. But I'm talking to Bᴜsᴜyɪ right now, and I'm trying to establish that if truly any democracy whatsoever can thrive, how important is the issue of strengthening institutions more than individuals? How important is the issue of upholding the office of the citizen ahead of anybody else? That's what we've looked at on the show today. But before we open the conversation, Bᴜsᴜyɪ, let me ask you. The people are beginning to speak. The very, in quotes now, controversial former chief whip of the Nigerian Senate, he had come out to say that the president should speak to the youths. A lot of interest groups are also saying that Mr. President should address the young people. Let's look for how, if at all, can there be some immediate response to whatever could happen on the 1st of August. What would you suggest that the government should do as quick fix, short terms? Like I said, the Senate today passed the new national minimum wage bill after it scaled the first reading, second reading, and third reading within minutes that it was communicated to the Senate today on the floor of the House. Now the minimum wage had been moved from 35,000 naira to 70,000. Unfortunately, Bᴜsᴜyɪ, that minimum wage cannot buy you a bag of rice, which is quite an irony. But yes, that's the crazy part. A bag of rice is about 84 to 85,000, depending on where you're buying it from. But what do you think the government should do, at least to put up a quick fix, if at all, to prevent whatever it is that could happen on the 1st of August?
So unfortunately, the situations around the Federal Republic is not such that you probably want to go through a quick fix route. And I'll explain a bit what I mean. These problems have become a pandemic, if I must say. And it's hydra-headed, right? You know, it's a whole lot, right? I bet you, bring all the intellectuals we have in Nigeria, keep them in a room. They may not be able to find a singular solution to the challenges we are facing currently. Because, like I said, the problems are hydra-headed. And you spoke about there are some people that have 14 points, there are some people that have 12 points, you know, on what they are protesting about, right? The truth of the matter is, unfortunately, we have a government that is tone deaf. And when I talk about being tone deaf, they do not understand the disconnect of between, and you said it when you started the show, the disconnect between those people who are in government and the people
that are governing
is so wide. The poverty margin is so wide. The government comes out times without number and says, we have to be patient, right? Citizens have to endure the pains of now to be able to benefit, you know, tomorrow. And the average citizen is asking. This same thing was said in the Buhari's regime. What happened? Nothing. The same thing is being touted now. But if you look at what the government sees as its priority in terms of spending, your heart would break. Should we call it? You must have taken it on your show. 150 million SUVs per senator. Just SUVs. Right?
And we have 109 of them.
109 of them, including the other, their fellow co-travelers in the House of Reps. Do we now talk about the presidential yacht? Do we talk about the vice president's house? Do we talk about the aircraft of the president? Do we talk about what we see the government spend on that does not have any direct effect on the lives of the citizens? It's one thing for you to say, citizens, these are the problems we have, but this is the path we're going to take to get there. These are the milestones you would hold us to. If we have a government who comes out to, right, and say that these are the problems, give me about, let's say 10 problems we have as Nigeria, and give me a roadmap that will take us from where we are now to where we want to be, and give me milestones, and probably tell me in the next 3 months we would eliminate XYZ barrier. In the next 6 we would handle XYZ barrier. In the next 12 months, this is where we hope we should have been. The moment you are able to articulate these problems and clearly articulate the solutions with definitive action points, you will be able to convince me, that we have a government who understands the burdens of the people and are able to work alongside, in a definite timeline to be able to address these challenges. But guess what has been happening up there? How many times have they told us the Port Harcourt refinery was going to go up?
Almost every month.
How many times? It keeps going. So see, it's an unending circle of dishonesty. It's an unending circle of heartbreak moments for the citizens. It's an unending circle of disappointment. Unfortunately, also I say that Nigerians are also complicit in this problem. And I'll explain why I said. Before the election, we had presidential debates where you were going to speak to the issues. At least you don't even have power. There was no power at that point. The current government in power, I'm talking about the president, never attended any debate. Was never scrutinized properly, even by the media. Not to talk about citizens. What we had were hallelujah boys shouting across the length and breadth of the country. We are now faced head on with the decisions of the same political party, and unfortunately, Buhari was blaming the PDP government, right? The rules of PDP. Now the current government
is blaming the rule of the APC.
So when you ask yourself, where are we actually headed? It's a vicious circle that just keeps going on and on and on. And the average Nigerian is getting poorer and poorer. May I say finally these issues, you definitely know that Nigerians have become poorer, since the inception of this government. In fact, from 2015, the tides have turned so terribly. Nigerians have become poorer to the extent where, the money you have in your bank is almost as useless as anything, if you want to know. Sick people are not able to get the normal medications they're supposed to. The human stories that comes out of these realities are more damning and heartbreaking than what we can. Okay, do a social experiment. Open up your line and tell people to give you just 2 minutes, call in 2 minutes to share their story and their experience.
Bᴜsᴜ,
and you would have
you wouldn't want to listen to that show on that day. You wouldn't want to listen.
It's sad, my brother.
It's sad.
So sad.
but going forward, I think we have about 2-3 minutes. But I want to ask you for a favor. I know you have a lot to do with your time, but I will take a quick break by 5 o'clock. And so one would come back. It's just about 3 minutes because a lot of people are asking questions, and I would want you to listen to those questions and respond to some if you can.
That it's fine.
Okay, thank you. So by 5 o'clock we'll take the break. But is it I keep you on the line for just about 3 minutes, or I let you go? But it's going to be difficult trying to reconnect with you because the calls are already pouring. But let's see what we can do about that. But let's enjoy the next 4 minutes. If you establish the fact that the people have the right to protest rather, do you trust the people on the other side? Because for every protest, the protesters have the right to be protected by the relevant authorities, the security forces, the security agencies. But do you trust these people on the other side? You could hear, oh, there was an order from above, and maybe by a day before the protest, there's going to be massive show of force. You see the Nigerian police moving around with, vehicles with tear gas, trying to intimidate the people ahead of what is their constitutional right. Do you think the people on the other side can be trusted, Bᴜsᴜ?
Part of the conversations we'll be having is the distrust citizens have with their government. Right? And so obviously, the answer is you cannot trust the government. Unfortunately, and it's quite sad. Stating this obvious truth. But
in a democracy,
in the end, right, the government would not have any choice than to protect the protesters. They would not have any choice. Because tensions are really high, and if the same scenario plays out, the scenario that played out the last time plays out this time, we may not be able to handle the repercussions so well. And so, to the benefit of everybody, and I'm saying this quite sincerely, it is better that the security agencies do everything within their power to ensure that the protesters are protected, and to also ensure that, hoodlums and touts, do not find expression, in such a protest. Remember, if you go back to the timeline of 2020, we saw when the hoodlums and touts came in. I was not there. I cannot say that the government paid anybody money, but I know that hoodlums and touts were protected by the institutions of state, right? And so, if that should happen, I cannot say, I don't wish anybody ill, but I'm just saying that in the interest of everybody. And it's not, and this is actually not a threat. And I'm not sure young people are going to come up to threaten anybody. But the truth of the matter is, if the government does not protect the rights of people and ensure that their dignity, their rights to protest are protected, then we may be opening up ourselves to very unpalatable situations. But I want to believe that the police would not want. I'm not saying the military. I'm saying the police, because the military has no business, close to civil protest.
Clear word. You heard the line. The military has no business whatsoever getting close to a civil protest. Well, in case you're just tuning in, it's the Situation Room live on Milan 98.3 FM. And my guest on the show via phone has been Bᴜsᴜ Murakinyo. He's an innovative development, governance, and social accountability professional. And we've looked at the conversation around democracy, the office of the citizen, and the rights to peaceful protest. And they also, understand how these things work. We've had a 1-hour conversation, but I have to take a break, take the headline news by 5. And I would come back immediately after the headline news, and I would, seek the indulgence of my guest to please kindly stay on the line for me, so that we can, take the headline news and come back. I've got loads of questions for him from the people, and of course, he would need to respond to a couple of those questions, because I know that if I let this call go, to connect back to him could be a big problem. So, Mr. Murakinyo, thank you for agreeing to stay with us. The moment we get back, you would get the notification. But please just stay on the line. I would appreciate.
Yes, I will.
Okay. And let's take a break. Take the line news, and the show returns. I pick your calls and also read your messages. 091-3600-0410. The lines to call. 091-3600-0430. The lines to text. And don't forget to drop your message on facebook.com facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. On YouTube and Instagram, we're streaming as well, mainland 983. And don't forget to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at mainland FM. I will be back after the headline news. Don't go nowhere.
Mainland 98.3 FM, your number one radio, reaching stars, the sound of Lagos.
Headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM.
Good evening. Headline news on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. Shelf planned hard-to protest. Tinubu appeals to Nigerians. National Assembly speedily passes 70,000 naira minimum wage bill. Sanitation. Adegboruwa asks court to restrain Lagos from imposing movement restriction. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. On the foreign scene, CBN raises. In sports, Victor Osimhen, Napoli must set realistic fee for unsettled Super Eagles striker. That's
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.
There. Yes, you just won 5,000 naira cash. And you, sitting by the side, there's 1 month Showmax subscription to watch the Premier League waiting for you. You behind. Of course, you're not left out. How does 1,000 naira airtime and 2,000 naira Uber discount sound? All this could come true when you buy the No Unwrap and Win pack. Open it, look for a cube with a 6-digit code on its wrapper. Text the code to 8011 and follow the prompts to win. Promo valid while stock lasts. Terms and conditions apply. Get extra value on the No Unwrap and Win pack. No, eat for good.
Fixing your damaged phone just feels like a lot of wahala and can be very expensive, right? But not anymore. MTN is here with a solution to help you protect your phones. Accident happens. So imagine this. Your phone falls into water. No wahala. Your screen cracks. No wahala. Your phone gets burned. No wahala. Why? Because accidental damages are also covered. Even if you're lazy like me and cannot cope with the stress of getting your phone fixed, your damaged phone will be picked up, fixed and dropped off, all while you chill at home. And the best part is, you also enjoy free MTN data when you purchase any device protection plan. Seriously, who doesn't love free data? You also enjoy free MTN data when you purchase any device protection plan. To enjoy your device with peace of mind, visit mtn.ng/device services to get your pocket-friendly device protection plan. MTN, outdo yourself.
Looking for ways to save your data? It starts with your apps. Deleting unused apps helps, but there is more. Most apps have data saver modes. Activate them to control data usage. You can also go to settings to turn off auto updates. Lastly, close unused apps to save data when you ain't using your apps. These changes can make a big difference. For more information, visit your mobile operator's website or consumer.ncc.gov.ng for more helpful tips. Stay connected and enjoy smarter data usage. This message is brought to you by the Association of Telecom Operators and Nigerian Communications Commission.
Hello, Tᴜɛ̀tᴜɛ. Hey, you just win 5,000 naira cash. And you wey sidon for corner. 1 month Showmax subscription to watch Premier League. They wait for you. And you for back. No fear. You sef dey inside am. How 1,000 naira airtime and 2,000 naira Uber discount sound for your ear? All these things fit happen if you buy no unwrap and win pack. Tear am open. Find cube wey get 6-digit code for wrapper. Send the code go 8011 and follow wetin dem tell you to win. Promo go dey while stock dey last. Terms and conditions dey sha o. Get extra value on top no unwrap and win pack. No, eat for good.
Spot that smartphone you've been eyeing? That one that seems just out of reach because of its hefty price tag? Hold up, MTN is got your back, bringing you an effortless way to snag your dream phone without emptying your pocket with Easy Buy. Choose any phone you fancy and conveniently spread the payment over 3 to 12 months. Keep your budget intact and your smartphone dreams. But wait, there's more. Not only do you get to enjoy budget-friendly payment option, but you also enjoy up to 10 gig free MTN data. Now, that's a steal. Don't watch your dream phone slip away. What are you waiting for? Visit the nearest mobile phone retail outlet. Look for the Easy Buy agent. Terms and conditions apply. MTN. What are you doing today?
Yes, you just won 5,000 naira cash. And you, sitting by the side, there's 1 month Showmax subscription to watch the Premier League waiting for you. You behind. Of course, you're not left out. How does 1,000 naira airtime and 2,000 naira Uber discount sound? All this could come true when you buy the No Unwrap and Win pack. Open it, look for a cube with a 6-digit code on its wrapper. Text the code to 8011 and follow the prompts to win. Promo valid while stock lasts. Terms and conditions apply. Get extra value on the No Unwrap and Win pack. No, eat for good.
Spot that smartphone you've been eyeing? That one that seems just out of reach because of its hefty price tag? Hold up, MTN is got your back, bringing you an effortless way to snag your dream phone without emptying your pocket with Easy Buy. Choose any phone you fancy and conveniently spread the payment over 3 to 12 months. Keep your budget intact and your smartphone dreams. But wait, there's more. Not only do you get to enjoy budget-friendly payment option, but you also enjoy up to 10 gig free MTN data. Now, that's a steal. Don't watch your dream phone slip away. What are you waiting for? Visit the nearest mobile phone retail outlet. Look for the Easy Buy agent. Terms and conditions apply. MTN. What are you doing today?
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
Pain seems anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways. But there's not. If there were,
in our quest to bring to the table issue-based conversation around nationhood and development, we have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we continue to build the narrative about public service and accountability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance to make their political decisions, constant demand for quality leadership from those they voted into office.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving. Tinubu should please do something.
It's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join 𝐴̀ᴄɪᴏ-Pᴏʟɪᴛɪᴄ as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and leadership. Every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial. Mainland 98.3 FM will welcome you roommates as we discuss the situations.
You're welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. And more importantly, thank you so much to my guest, Mr. Tᴜsᴛ, for staying on the line with us. We started this conversation around 4 o'clock, and then we've moved on to 5 p.m. before we took our first break. Don't forget that by 5:30 there's going to be the full bulletin, and by 6 o'clock we'll come back to take you through the world of sport. It's 3 days to the Paris 2024 Olympics and 2 days to Super Falcons opening game against Brazil. All of that will be brought to your enjoying you will enjoy it by 6 o'clock. Don't worry. Tommy and I will take you through that journey. But let's get back into the conversation. My guest is still here, and I'm just going to straight up into picking your calls and also reading your messages. 0913-600-0410. Thank you so much, Mr. Tᴜsᴛ, for still being with us on the show.
Thanks, my brother.
Okay, so let's get straight up into it. I'm just going to pick a couple of messages on Facebook, DMs, then we'll pick calls. Larry Olakomi says, the guest should also speak to the sensibility and conscience of the conveners of the proposed protest to call their followers to order, as I know for sure that mischief makers and disgruntled element amongst them will go violent. Okay, Kenneth Arinze says, Oᴜᴜᴡ, I love this analyst today. It's so spot on with the reality that is happening in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Temitayo Fimion says, if the president allows United Hungry and Angry People's Party to evolve among millions of already already impoverished Nigerians who are suffering from acute poverty and abject misery due to the misgovernance and needless political rhetorics, the federal government and the Federal Republic of Nigeria would be gone. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Okay. Chuks Ines says, your guest is one of the patriots from Yoruba land and Nigeria in general. Just like you, Oᴜᴜ, it hurts me so much thinking about what this APC government has done to the good citizens of this country, especially this current government under the power grabbers. I want to change £300 yesterday at the local FX here at Alale Market. We counted everything and it was complete, 606,000. Then I gave them my £300. Oᴜᴜ, getting to the airport to tell myself and my uncle, we brought out the money to pay bills. 2 bundles was supposed to have 200,000 and 206,000 respect. Unfortunately, after recounting, 209,000 got missing. Wow. Interesting. Basil Chika says, protests all over the world have been a constitutional way to way for the led to express their anger against the government, and that is recognized in every sane society. And I don't know why the government that came to power through that would not allow people to express their views. Look at the exchange rate, the import duty, the electricity tariff, hiking taxes, food scarcity, economic hardship, and everywhere. And you think intimidating the people can stop them when you know that an hungry man is an angry man. Chika Bende from Trade Fair. 0913-600-0410. Let me pick your calls. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to have you join us on the show. Hello. Ooh, okay. Let me see how this can work. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, this is Olaiwola.
Okay, Mr. Olaiwola, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I think what's going to happen is this. Tᴜsᴛ, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to let you go because I'm calling you on a different platforms and the calls are coming in on a different platform. I'm speaking to you on WhatsApp and the calls are coming in direct, so there's no way I can merge the calls.
I know.
Which is quite unfortunate. But let me just thank you for being my guest on the show today. I reached out to you and you responded. And I want to thank you once again. And I hope we can keep this conversation going.
Very well. And maybe lastly, I'll just say that
please go on.
Those people who are coming out to protest, should understand the reason why they are coming out to protest. As much as possible, remain calm, remain peaceful. Say no to provocation. There are definitely going to be people who want to provoke you when you go out there to protest. But realize that your protest is to make Nigeria better and not to destroy the infrastructure that we are still trying to have, and people must not be gagged from protesting. You cannot beat a child and say the child should not cry. Let them express themselves within the ambit of the law. It's very important. Thanks so much, Ope, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, 𝐴ᴄᴏ for joining me on the show today. It's been an engaging time, and I want to also believe that I will keep the conversation going. Each time I reach out, you'd always, accept to be with us. 𝐴ᴄᴏ is an innovative development, governance, and the social accountability professional, and he's joining me from the other side, if you know what I mean. Stay safe, Busayo. I will keep the conversation going, and I'll keep in touch with you.
All right, cheers.
I'll pick your calls now, 09136000410. I wanted to keep my guest on the line so that he could hear your contribution or I respond to some of your questions, but hey, the platforms are not aligning, unfortunately. So let me talk to you. Hello, good evening.
Mr. Opa.
Your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is John calling from Ojota.
Okay, good to have you on the show today.
Yes, even me, I will be out that day for the protest because the food that somebody cook in somewhere else kitchen and it doesn't allow somebody to cook for it. What we really need is that how can we have something and a group set of people will form themselves, they call themselves international oil company, and we are suffering. How can we get it? The misplaced priority of these people that are in the power now is becoming alarming that we cannot afford a tuber of yam being sold for 8,000. Very alarming because of insecurity challenge. And the policy of subsidy have gone. They are still paying this subsidy. Look at it. It's now if we call our ruler, because a leadership is to be in a armchair of what?
Hello. Ooh. Okay, if you're lucky, you can try and still call back. This is Benjamin from Sᴏᴄɪᴏ. Let me read your message. It's a lengthy one though, but I'll try. He said, my guests have spoken well. He's spoken the minds of many Nigerians. Truth be told, a Nigerian is practicing democracy, but does not look like democracy in practical. What Nigeria is practicing is government of the politician sharing money. What we're seeing now under the watch of President Tinubu is more money available for the three tiers of government to share at the expense of the suffering masses due to subsidies gone policy. As we're talking now, the University of Benin students are at home because they protest against lack of electricity on campus for 3 weeks because of lack of electricity, and the government of the school has sent them home. Okay, thank you very much there. This one says, good afternoon to my friend in the studio. My name is Victor from Shomolu. 2 Sundays ago, I traveled from Lagos to Mᴏᴜᴏ. I ran out of fuel. To my greatest surprise, at the fuel station, a liter of fuel was being sold for 800, and the people are buying it. I bought it as well. For her, there's fire on the mountain, and also please let these things get done. Also, is it true that the presidency has brought a new jet for the president? Till now, I've not heard from any media house. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Victor from Shomolu. I stay along that axis, and I can confirm exactly how much you bought that fuel. Achoba Solomon from Idimu says the worst mistake this Tinubu government and the government would ever do is to try to repeat the evil of the 10th of October 2020. Sanwo-Olu in particular seemed to have escaped all his lies, but this will definitely open the wounds. What is all the appeal about shelving the protest about in a country where the government has reduced its citizens to only think about feeding, where hunger is palpable, like I always been saying since 2015? When Nigerians are truly and fully tired, they know exactly what to do. More calls. Hello, good evening.
Mr. Prof, good evening.
You're welcome.
Prof, I bless you. I bless the station.
Thank you.
That God will continue to provide for you and to protect you all.
Amen.
See, the first question I want to ask: lady, who did we offend? Who caused this nation? that they are running this country as if nobody will catch us. Come to my church with 100,000, you just pick one bag or something, go home. Now the question I want to ask that police and military people, are they telling us that they are not part of this country? That what everybody are facing now, they are not part of that situation. This is the question I'm asking. And anybody that is telling us that we should not come out to come and tell them that what they are doing and what they are running this country, the way they are running this country is not good, shows that they are in support of bad things. They say, okay, you should wake up early in the morning, be cursing each other on what they are doing daily basis.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 0913-600-0410. Let me talk to you. Oh, Mr. Ayo, you've been calling since. Thank you.
Good evening.
You're welcome.
Mr. Okwe.
You're welcome.
Right. First of all, I protest against you.
Oh,
I'm protesting against you. Yes. All the roads. I'm coming from journalist estate, but I told you I have my project in my borough there.
Okay.
We talked about it some time ago. The names I heard they read out they want to fix in Ogun State. I didn't hear. I never heard that of the Magboro. I expect you to drum it louder. At least you pass through there. You reside there.
Okay.
Meanwhile, on the topic on ground, if you can send some of your men, I was a veteran. I was with the temple. By your nanuga that I'm disappointed. It's just like Sᴏᴄɪᴏ-Pᴏʟɪᴛɪᴄ. I have worked with these people, Punch, Sᴏᴄɪᴏ, by your nanuga. We had both detained in Ikoyi prison then. A place called, if you meet with him,
okay, I think I have to just read messages. I really don't know what's happening with the phone lines, but I just keep trying. 0913-600-0410. Kenneth Arinze says, I can't wait to hear from Sᴏᴜᴏ on your show on Friday. Right on, bro. Thank you very much. Yes. Sᴏᴜᴏ will be on the show on Friday, God willing, all things being equal, from 4 to 5:30. We just discuss state of the nation. Generally, you understand that is going to be a very huge conversation. By the way, don't miss that. Set your timer and keep your dialogue on Milan 98.3 FM. Yemi Agboworin, thank you very much. I got your message. Larry Olakomi says the guests should also know that some journalists are working hand in gloves with the politicians. Interesting. Isaiah Oluwatosin says, is it true that the government is gagging and afraid of certain voices? Life is not idealism, and it is best that we base whatever action we like to take on the reality of life. Democracy does not operate in a vacuum. It runs on the fulcrum of power. Those who are planning to protest should bear that in mind. Against JEG in 2012 on the same issue, are they now in power? Why are they afraid? Let the president do the right thing and nobody will take to the streets to protest. Isaiah Oluwatosin says protest is a democratic right. However, we must learn to be pragmatic in how we engage the state and to be strategic in how we make it responsible, or how we make them respond to our justified demands. The NSAS protest went bad because the promoters refused to ground their cause in its pragmatism. Our elders would always say, when we cry, we still see. Well, it means Tabasukun Ashimamariron. Hello, good evening, Pastor Diola. Hello.
Good evening.
Please put out the volume on your radio set, or you turn it off completely.
Are you okay?
I can still hear myself on the background.
Okay, I'm far from it.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Talk to us quickly.
Yes. The protest, I don't support it.
Okay.
Yeah, because what we are going through in the country is that we need to upskill. We need to be productive more. The government they are just trying to make us float on the turbulent sea. I don't see what kind of magic they can do. But we should have to bear with them when they are racking their brains to make sure that we continue to go on in this country. But protesting cannot really solve anything, because the government, like, they are just trying, because it has gone so bad over the years, and you see, we have to be more productive in the country, and it's not automatic. It has to be. We are look at a lot of professionals leaving the country. They've left the country. That is the problem we are having now. The middle class is gone. The middle class is gone.
Exactly. There's no classism anymore. Is it that you're rich or you're poor? Until the Minister of Power decided to bring classism into electricity billing in this country. It's crazy. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Alpha.
You're welcome. Your name and where are you calling from?
Thank you very much. My name is Malam Usman. Currently, I am calling you from Irua in Oyo State.
Oh, wow. Thank you for following us.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see why I have problem with this government. I am part of this government because I voted for this government from my heart. You understand? I travel from Lagos State to my state to vote for this government, but I'm in support of this protest not because of only this government alone. The other government that will come after this one, we know that yes, we can never take Nigeria for granted for a very long time. You understand? Number one, the president said he take for this job, we should not pity him. He got the job. Now he asked us to type our bed when he removed the subsidy. We typed bed. At the end of the day, about billions or millions of naira was budgeted to renovate the house of the vice president. He asked us to type our bed. We agree with that bed. At the end of the time, before we know, 885 million was typed allegedly by the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. He asked us to type bed. Before we know, the 120 million each was allocated to bud car for National Assembly. Somebody Allah, why is this done in any part of the world? These governments have taken Nigeria for granted too much. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the show today. I can still squeeze in one more call before we say our goodbyes. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, bro, good evening.
You're welcome. 1 minute.
Very quickly, I was athletic and I protested, and I just want to tell anybody who are going to be participating in the upcoming protest, use your head. I was there. In fact, I was there. I don't want what happened during the EndSARS to happen again. Please use your head when you meet anybody with weapon superior than yours in any form.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Run. You have your leg. Run. Don't protect. Don't die for Nigeria. If you die for Nigeria, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show today. I feel so bad that I have to go, but unfortunately, tomorrow is a different conversation. You have to join Sage Babalola by 4 o'clock tomorrow in the Situation Room, because I will be here for midweek politics from 1 to 3 p.m. I will be joined by Said Fuad and Victor Achibong, and I'm very sure that this issue of protest, the proposed nationwide protest, will also be on the menu for tomorrow afternoon. Keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM. Thank you so much to Bᴜsᴜ for joining me all the way from the United Kingdom via phone. And I would like the issue of accountability in public space and how to close up the gap between the government and the governed. Thank you so much. 5:30 the full bulletin would come up, and by 6 o'clock I would come back for Sport Cruise alongside Tomiwa, aka Agbatomi. We'll take you through the world of sport, especially I will continue our countdown to Paris 2024.